G'day everyone, welcome back to Life on the Hulls. Last episode I sanded out and completed the tank support for my fuel tank bay, and this episode I'm going to get those completed. Now I'm going to apologise for the stinking scissor lift that went for 7 days solid in the background, but let's get into it, and here we go.
Yeah, I'm over in the starboard side. I'm going to mask up the inside of my fuel tank bay, and then I'm going to basically give it a styrene wipe and I'm going to Flowcoat it out. There's going to be a lot of areas that I still need to do some glassing in here, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to mask around those areas. I'm trying to anticipate as much as possible where I may need to glass later on, but I just want to get this Flowcoated out so the angle that's going to support the tanks. I've already got the supports per se, but I need to then put that angle, epoxy that in place so that it's permanent, and then those tanks will sit nice and flush inside this well. But there's a couple of areas I do need to glass, and that's with the module being glassed in here, and also with the secondary bulkhead that's going to fit over the top of the tank that's going to lock that down. So there's a lot to do here, and I need to think about that before I go and wide it all out. But I'm very excited. These are very exciting days to get something finished. Cool, so that's now ready to go. I love it. I'm loving this process.
So I finally settled on Mist Grey as being the colour for the bilges in my boat, and Flowcode, as the name might suggest, is not self-levelling. It is a wax-in styrene additive into the gel coat, which enables it to cure on an external surface or an internal surface of a fiberglass part. Now the idea of it is to provide a washable surface that's hard wearing, etc. Now you can see here I've actually used a roller to put on a small test panel. Now you're going to get a texture. You can't actually get this stuff perfectly smooth, but the rest of the bilges will be completed in this colour as well, so you're about to see quite a bit of flow coating, so enjoy it guys.
So I'm basically ready to give a very quick styrene wipe, and then a Flowcoat, and then I'm never going to friggin' do another thing in there, hopefully ever again. Righto, so I'm going to do the fuel tank bay, and a good way to tell whether or not you're ready or not ready for flow coating, and it's smooth enough for painting or whatever, is to run your gloved hand over the surface and see if it tears it. And just like when you go to the doctor, fellas, you know, if you can run a glove over it without tearing it, you know you're in a good place. Here we go. I'm going to flow coat this out, and it's going to be a lot of stripe coating with a brush. I'm going to do all the vertical surfaces with a brush. Now the problem with Flowcoat is that by the time I get to rolling it, I'm going to be in trouble because it's going to already starting to be gelling. So I don't want to be redoing that surface. I'm going to catalyze this a bit lower at 1.5%. I'm thinking about 1.2, 1.3%, and that'll give me a good slow gel time. But in here at the moment, it's about 20 degrees, so my gel time is going to be pretty quick no matter what. And I don't want to be picking up that extra gel, because then I end up with clumps in my Flowcoat, and then I have to sand it off and redo it. Don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to get to it right now. Okay, so I'm all set up here. I've got 3 cups full and about 1 kilo of Flowcoat, and I'm hoping that's going to be enough. So each cup will be used for the stripe coating with the brush, and then I'm going to go back over the whole lot with the roller. Now I'll probably only end up doing about half to 3/4 of this well like this, but I'm going to start at the stern and work forward, because I've got this compartment here to stand in when I'm finished off the last part. That's my plan. I hope that works out. So they've got 300 or 270 mils at 1.3%.
An interesting thing about Flowcoat is that if you apply this stuff, because the wax rises to the surface, you're then unable to flow coat over the top of it again. So you've sort of pretty much putting your final layer on in one hit. And the reason why that is because you're curing the polyester gel coat with the wax by suffocating it from the air, as you would with gel coat face down in a mold with laminates over the top, again removing the access to the air so that it can't stop it from curing. Now, to do any repair or restorative work on Flowcoat, it's essential that you etch into it and get that mechanical attachment again, because you're never going to get a chemical bond back onto Flowcoat.
I'm only going to do the first half first, but I've stripe coat this. But while I'm keeping with the chemistry, I'm just going to roll straight onto it. It is absolutely stinking like hell in here today. I haven't used this for a while. I'm going to give this a good roll out and get to probably about here, and then I'll do the last part separately, because I'm trying to keep with the chemistry, so I'm not picking up bits of the gelled Flowcoat, because that's already setting due to the ambient temperature in here. So very important to keep that in mind. You've got to work quickly and you've got to work smartly.
Now, because I'm a lucky bugger, I get to do this all again. So I popped into the other side and started the whole process again. Honestly, it's a bit of an effort when you got to do everything twice, but you know, the good thing is you get to perfect your technique on one side, and then the other side's generally better. The important thing is that you actually go from alternate sides so that eventually you get an all right boat and not a perfect one on both sides. But you know, it actually came up really well. I'm so impressed with the finish. It's slightly textured, and it's pretty easy to wipe out, and you know, ultimately I'm still going to be working in and out of here, but it's such a relief to get this finish, and I think you'll agree it looks pretty smart.
I mean, it took like 45 minutes to finish, but 2 years to get to that stage. Hey guys, you can fully expect to see a lot less of my ugly mug over the next month. I'm going through a skin cancer treatment, and I'm not going to hide it, but it's pretty friggin' ugly. These are starting to scab up, so I'm going to try to avoid showing you too much of my ugly mug over the next month, and you probably all appreciate that anyway. So I've been getting a few pretty mean chips in my modules here, so I've decided to do what the production company's doing for bloody good reason, and just tape all the edges. I'm going to put cardboard down on all the surfaces. It's going to save a horde of damage, and you know, how beautiful is this? Honestly, don't get skin cancer, guys. Don't get it. But yeah, this is basically going to happen to all my modules. To protect the edges is very, very important at this stage, because I don't want to have to put these in and then spend months repairing all the little chips and scratches that I'm going to get. Better off to protect them now and then put them in, polish them up and ready to go. So I've just finished the Ep082 skin cancer treatment on my face, and it's just starting to clear up. It's been a pretty rugged month. I was a lot uglier than usual. So I had some pretty serious lesions around here, around my side of my ears and everything. But yeah, it's nice to get that out of the way for winter. I'm not allowed out in the sun for about another week. It's been a bit of a very restrictive winter for me. Normally I'm out in the sun a lot during winter, and we have beautiful winter days here in Jervis Bay, you know, just incredible days, and it's been a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest, but anyway, it has to be done. Welcome to our clean build. I've been racking my brain as to what to do to support these tanks. Now, these bulkheads that I've put in rock solid. I mean, they'll support 300, 400, 500 kilos. You know, it's giving the boat a lot more strength than it was supposed to have. However, these polyethylene tanks do have an expansion of around 3%, and I want to make sure that what I don't get is pressure points on these bulkheads and make the tank fatigue in any way. I mean, I've pretty much, they're thicker than a typical whitewater or sea kayak, so I've seen them go through some fair punishment over the years in my business. Having said that, I think it needs some sort of support. Now, I originally was going to put in a wider base on each one to take that pressure point and relieve that pressure point, but I think I've come up with a better solution. I'm going to use 4 of these. Now, I love these things. I could build a whole boat out of it, I reckon. It's a bit like matchsticks. But these angles are so strong when they're put in section and put in correctly that what I intend to do is make a slat bed out of these along the length, all the way along from this end right to the other end, and end up with it flush with the top of the bulkhead. And I think that having 4 of those, 2 on each side, will be more than sufficient to support this tank. It also, in my constant endeavours to reduce weight in the boat, I thought about putting in some foam that already laminated, like this sort of sheet, strips of that, making a slat, like a slat bed. But I think this stuff, you know, you can't go past it. It's ultra light. It glues in with epoxy. It's there forever. It'll look good to start with, but ultimately it's going to be a really good solution and support that tank, and there'll be virtually no movement. I could almost coat it with some sort of a foam or rubber on the top of this to stop any extra movement of the tank, and I may well do that. But for now, I'm going to cut these in profile. I'm going to cut the bulkhead where I've flow coated it, cut it, slice it, embed it in epoxy. It's going to be there forever. I probably won't even bother flow coating these because there's just no point, given that they are epoxy. Flow coat may not even take to it too well. So let's do that. That's my solution, and that's what I'm going to go with. Just get this feeling that everyone's looking down on me all the time. It'd be nice to be at your level, but I'm 10 foot deep in the holes, and that seems to be where my life's spent. But I'm getting there. I am getting there. Righto, let's get this measured up.
Don't believe you, mate.
Johnny and I are having an argument here because he believes in string lines, I believe in lasers and levels. Bloody old school builder. Right. Dodgy camera angles here. We've got a tripod balancing precariously on the edge of the boat. Look at this, look how fuck off with that string line.
There you go.
Jesus, what the fuck's that gonna do?
Laser won't work.
Hey?
Laser's no good. You can't get it
Bollocks
accurate.
to that, you don't need laser. Look at this, look. Centre, 18, done. Look at that, it's exactly the same, has to be.
Same distance.
That's from the centre.
We'll see.
Classic, I love it. Old school builders, eh? Hanging around with them, they're hard yakking to be around.
One bob and a string line.
You don't trust technology, son.
And a water level.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, funny boy. I'm going to go with this, mate. I reckon it's going to be spot on. It can't be anything but. Oh, shit, I'm glad it's smooth down here. Right. You're still f***ing around with that, and I've done the job. Well, it's
Mate, it wasn't done properly. Obviously you
by
don't
the time I finish the job,
Obviously you
he'll
don't
sort
use
out
the
the
string
string
line.
line. Jesus. Crack me up.
There you go, we're ready to go now.
Oh, well, I love boat building.
With a string line.
With a string line. Without a string line. I love it without it. I'm just going to cut it, John. Nah, hang on. Well, let's do it. Let's humour him.
You got to.
Hey? What are you going to do with that?
What's that?
The string line.
Nothing now. Put it back.
I love it. No, I want you to use the string. I want you to prove to me that it's
Well,
better.
you haven't marked the middle one. So
I don't need to. I've got the end.
If you mark the middle one, you could do it now with a string line and do them both without putting a bit of Because you can't check it.
I've got my centres.
No, they won't work.
I've already got this marked. If I cut that one now,
Will the middle one be right?
well, it's going to be wherever the middle of this is.
I suppose so.
It's going to have to be, isn't
You'll
it?
have to mark it.
That's it. No. I've marked that one. I'm not going to mark it until I cut this one.
Easy.
All right, we'll give it a crack.
Honestly, I had to leave that bit in, guys. It's like having my dad and my best mate around at all times, having John around. I mean, we get into some of the funniest conversations, and it may not be funny to you, but it's pretty typical when you're doing a job like this with another guy. There's always differences of opinion, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But my God, we get into some funny conversations discussing different methods, and ultimately we usually work out the right method. But yeah, sorry guys, I'm sorry you had to endure that little session there, but that was so funny.
Righto, so they're not absolutely perfectly straight, but they're going to have to do. They're in there. I'm going to glue them in a minute. I reckon this outside one needs to move out by about 5 mil. I might do that. I think that's all that it needs. But the key is the centre line. I mean, they've got a little bit of flex in them, which is actually probably a good thing, because that'll allow for the tank to move up and down slightly enough. So once they're epoxied in place, they're perfect. So I'm pretty happy with that result. It's as windy as today, man. It's like 50 knots, 40 to 50 knot winds. I had a kayak trip today and had to cancel it. There's no way I could have run it even up in a creek today. It's absolutely vicious. Today I'm going to glass or glue in with the technical. I'm going to glue that composite angle into the fuel tank beds and get them done. They're basically I'm going to use a syringe because I've got some fine slots. I want to make sure they're fully encased so there's no chance of the glue not sealing that foam, because ultimately there's not going to be any moisture in there, but you know, any condensation or anything that gets in between the foam could delaminate those bulkheads, so I want to make sure that that's not going to happen. Alright, so I've already started down in here, and those two are in. It's a little bit awkward working away in there. You see me on my knees and almost having to plank, and it's been really good for the old core strength, getting down on my knees and doing some push-ups in that really awkward position. And that's sometimes boat building, you do get in some pretty unusual positions, and I've noticed these days when I get home, I ache. I just ache all over. I ache in my knees, I ache in my hips, my shoulders are aching, my hands are aching, my brain's aching from thinking, you know, all that paralysis analysis, or analysis paralysis we call it, where you're thinking things out. But I've got my glue mixed up here, got the fuel tank beds there, and basically I'm going to put these last two, 1, 2 there into place, and then it's all done. I'm going to weigh it down and then come back tomorrow, put my fuel tanks in, hopefully never to be lifted out again. That's a really sensational feeling. Big day today. I got the inspector coming to do the assessment on the work that's been done. I've been a little bit nervous. It's been a bit of a worry, but yep, it's coming down today. Worry?
I'll check it out and make sure.
It's a bit cold today, isn't it?
Yeah, your jump is really cozy.
Yeah, it's pretty cozy. Wearing my clothes with that, like 5 of it can fit in that. What do you think?
It's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good, eh? Just see me putting that in.
In the video, it looks white.
No, it's grey.
Yeah.
Mist grey. It's actually got a bit of a lilac tinge to it, I reckon. Bit of a mauve grey. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's good.
You'll have to come down and have a look at the front. It's pretty exciting, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Clean bilges. Bet you always wanted a clean bilge. I know you want a nice white yacht, but you got clean bilges instead. Looks alright though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Should have seen me down in there. I was planking. I was on my knees. I was doing all the core stuff.
That's where the weights are from. it's my ankle.
Janet rolled her ankle about a month ago and it's been giving her some jip.
I did more than roll it. Can I stand on that?
You can stand on the floor, yeah. It's your bedroom. Pretty good, eh? Do you like the green? I'm thinking about leaving it there. I'm getting a drone shot here. So we don't own a drone. Never will.
Oh, be careful.
Alright.
It's going to be bright, is that?
It's looking good, isn't it?
The bedroom, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm like a jackrabbit here. I'm used to walking around here.
Right.
I know. Look how dirty your head is. Better get in there and clean the head.
No, that's your job. I'm not doing
Oh,
that.
thanks.
Well, it's about time you did it.
Holy dilly. She'll start running a measuring tape over this in a minute. 7 days of this bloody sizzle lift. You've been here 2 minutes and you complained about it. That's it. Well, just make sure you tread on the stairs.
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
I've been listening to you complain about it.
I've been whinging about it for 7 days. What do you reckon, eh? Forward cabin number 2. Do you reckon I need to step down?
This is the wardrobe, right?
Yeah, go in.
Where's the door going to finish there?
Oh, lower.
There?
Yeah, about there. It's alright for you, from Munchkin. Yeah, but when you go in there, I reckon if I drop it down a step about 10 centimetres,
Yeah. Well,
it'll give me a little bit more.
Well, they will, but it's a lot of work. You've
It's not a lot of work. It's not a lot. I just got to cut that bit and just drop the angle down. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I think it's a good idea. It's just one of those little things that'll make a big difference.
Is this going to be storage or something?
No, that's crushed bulkhead. That's hollow, and that all gets wired out. I wish you'd told me you were coming to inspect, because I would have cleaned up. That's where I fell, head first down that hole. What are you laughing at?
When you're coming up the jack, you sound like fee-fi-fo-fo.
It is FIFA. It's like the fairy elephant. See, where you're standing there is where I fell head first, in that hole there.
Good job you went in. Yeah, probably not dangerous.
But it's taking shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
So where your money's going, honey. Feeding me to build this.
Yeah. It's big.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
In a real sense of size now.
Go straight out. You walk down onto the water tank. You can't walk on the orange part. You can walk on the angles, where the bulkhead is on the top there, and then along the chine to walk out. Put your foot, yeah, anywhere that's not. Yep. What do you reckon? Not bad, eh? Welcome to my world. This is why I'm looking so fit and slim, honey. Everyone needs to spend time on the mole. You definitely lose 20 kilos. I love it, eh? Check it out, eh? It's a monster. It's 2 40-foot yachts. Alright, well that's it.